Afshin, Inhlikane, Ruperile, and welcome to another episode of the 9Cubed series. In this episode, I had a chat with the phenomenal and amazing Naledi Mneno, who is an environmental scientist by both training and profession. I am very confident that you will enjoy this chat as much as I did. So let's go and hear what she had to say. Okay, once again, thank you so much for making time finally.
Finally.
Thank you so much for the sacrifice. I think, let's get right away and start by you telling us who Naledi Mneno is.
Okay, I'll answer. Firstly, I'd like to say thank you for having me here. I think this is a really great platform and it's such an honor. So I just wanted to appreciate you for that and to thank you. Naledi Mneno is a girl from Soweto. I was born, bred, and raised in Soweto. I went to high school in the south of Joburg, Monja High School. I then went and studied my environmental science degree at Wits University. I did a BSc majoring in a BSc in environmental science majoring in zoology, ecology, and environmental conservation. So that's me basically and my background, where I'm from and what I studied and where I studied. I think maybe I should also mention my YouTube channel as well. I recently started a YouTube channel, very recent. It's basically about environmental topics and activities. I think we need to have a better relationship with nature and the environment in general, right? And the environmental challenges that we see, they can be so overwhelming and so big to comprehend, you know. So I wanted to bring it down to a level that which everyday people like myself can understand and do something about it, you know. So I intend to do small sustainable actions in terms of environmental sustainability and to record that and to share it with people, so to encourage them to do the same. So that's also my YouTube channel. I think, that's me in a nutshell. I should mention, though, that I am now residing in the Eastern Cape and I am married to an amazing husband, Mneno. And we have a very, very little baby as well, a little girl, in terms of my family. So, that's me in a nutshell.
Yes, I was going to remind you about that you are in the Eastern Cape. How do you remember how do you become or how do you decide to pursue a career in environmental sciences?
When I was young, I was one of those girls or people that really loved animals and nature in general. So I really wanted anything to do with that. But then I was still not clued up about what is out there. So I just said I wanted to be a veterinarian. I want to be a doctor for animals. And when I got to a point where I had to apply for my varsity, I was not accepted for veterinary medicine. So then I ended up being accepted for environmental sciences, and I was like, the closest thing is environmental science zoology, so that's what I went for. And actually I couldn't have it any other way. I really thank God that this is the path that he chose for me. Yeah.
Okay, and then in terms of what your current job entails, what is it that you do on a day-to-day basis? Understanding, I'm asking this being aware that environmental science itself, it's very broad, while most of us just know a very small portion. But what does your current job entail at the moment?
Yeah, it's very, very broad. Most of the time we don't know what we are doing. But my current job, so I am a program coordinator, right, at the Department of Environmental Affairs. The name is long, I'll just say Environmental Affairs. And I am working in the biodiversity and wildlife economy. So what we do is we help emerging, previously disadvantaged farmers in terms of entering game farming or the wildlife economy. So most of the work, it's coordinating work within the department and with other departments in all spheres of government so that we are able to provide support. And that kind of support, it looks like it's capacity building, startup infrastructure, marketing, resources. So that's basically the work that I do. But on an everyday basis, because it sounds very fancy, right? But every day, how it actually looks like, it looks like setting up and attending a lot of meetings. It looks like a lot of admin, supply chain work, site visits, reports. So that's basically on an everyday basis how it looks like for us to be able to meet these goals of providing support to emerging game farmers. So yeah, that's my work in a nutshell.
Oh, wow. And if I know your YouTube channel, you talk about these practical things that every one of us can do relating to the environment. But suppose you could be heard by the entire world and you had a minute or just 30 seconds to tell us anything that's very close to your heart regarding the environment, what would it be?
Oh, I like to use the hashtag "it starts with me," because environmental related challenges and everything, they can be so big, and for government or big companies alone to solve at the rate that it's going at right now, it can't. It has to be that everyday people actions, those small actions all together will make the biggest difference. So really, it's that's where the biggest difference will be made. And I think us as people or consumers, we underestimate the influence that we have with brands and these big companies. I like to use the example of the straws, right? If people decide that straws are not environmentally friendly and they start to not use straws, then you know what will happen? Straw companies will have to make environmentally friendly straws, or else they would not survive. And that's what we see happening. So really, us as people, we should use the influence that we have to affect how companies produce stuff that are more environmentally friendly. So I think that's what I would talk about.
If you were to pick one or two challenges that you have faced in this field of environmental sciences as a female, what would they be?
I think I'll answer the question from scratch. So in my field specifically, I don't think there's much discrepancies in terms of women, males and female. And if anything, women are given more opportunities because of the past inequalities, Actually, what I want to talk about is challenges in the field as a whole, because I worked in the science policy interface for some time. And I think one thing that I can say is the biggest thing that I learned is the importance of science being policy and policy needs driven, right? So it shouldn't only be driven by curiosity, but rather by what the current needs are for decision-making tools and for solving current problems, really. So we need science for us to be able to make informed decisions. So I think that's the one thing that I would say. But going back to your question, in terms of women in the STEM field, I would say, as with any other sector, women do face challenges, and one of those that I should point out, it's like sexual harassment. It's one of the things that needs to be solved in all fields, really. But what I can also say with the stakeholders that we've worked with, etc., I've seen that there are still some discrepancies on the ground. So most game farmers, you'd find that it's still male dominated. There's not many female in that space. Or even with community structures, in the leadership structures, you find that it's still mostly male dominated. There's not much female representation. So I think that's also one of the challenges, is that women are still ostracized in some of these spaces.
And then for those who are watching this video, who will be watching this video, and then thinking, environmental sciences, I actually never thought of pursuing a career in there. And now with this, they're thinking, maybe I should have a look at it. What advice would you give them? I think especially for young girls out there who are thinking of perhaps pursuing a career in environmental sciences.
Yeah, okay. The field is so broad, like you said in the beginning. Okay, let me start by saying that firstly, you should have, the right heart for it. You should genuinely have an interest and a heart and a love for nature and the environment as a whole, because it can be very disheartening, with all the work that is being put in, and you see that the state of the environment is not improving. It's still the same, if not deteriorating. You can lose heart very quickly. But then if you have that passion and that heart for it, then you can stick it through, even with the small actions that you make, which are not big at all, but you can stick it through if you have the heart for it. But the main thing also is to do a lot of research, read a lot, especially for young girls, I would say, so that you are able firstly to find your niche, because it's so broad. You can work anywhere from sustainable development, renewable energies, to academia, research. The little one is up again. Academia, research, private sector, NGOs, public sector, or even nature reserves. You can really work anywhere. So for you to be able to find your niche, you need to do a lot of research and read a lot. So that's what I would tell young girls.
Thank you so much for this chat and for making time again.